Welcome to LSC. It's sports time. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Today we're on location at the NASCAR Sports Grill down here in the power plant, and we're doing interviews with a lot of people down here with the Gridiron Legends with Mike Tomlin. And I have with me former Bethel Bruin, former Virginia Tech, and been drafted now with the Steelers, Chris Ellis. Glad to have you here, Chris.
Glad to be here.
This is a coup. But let's go back and talk. When you first started playing ball, you weren't as big as you are now. You were playing the rec league. Were you always enjoyed playing football? Was that the sport that you really wanted to do?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as far as back as I can remember, all I wanted to do was play football. So that was definitely the biggest determination coming up.
All right, now, were you always a lineman, or did you carry the ball? Or?
Well, you know, being younger, like you said, not always being this size, I played a little bit of offensive tackle, tight end, wide receiver, defensive end, linebacker. So, and the younger rates, you play a little bit of everything. But as I got into high school, it was more defensive end and tight end.
Right. Now, who were some of your coaches you had in the rec league, and what league did you play in?
I played in Northampton League.
Okay.
I played in Northampton League. And Coach DeVan Hill was one of my coaches.
DeVan Hill, yes.
Yeah, DeVan Hill, yeah. I think he's out there at HU now. So,
yes.
But he was definitely one of the coaches on the rec league, and a big disciplinary guy, so learned it
okay.
early.
But the fundamentals, did they really concentrate on fundamentals at that league?
Yeah, definitely. It was, the biggest thing, because they had to keep it simple, for kids with that short attention span, but developing us in the league and knowing, where they were located, what high school you were going to. And that was the biggest thing for the kids, being excited about what schools we were coming up to, because, when we were younger, we were watching Ronald Curry and Iverson and those guys.
Right.
So being excited to, get in those schools and follow up those footsteps. So fundamentals was definitely big.
Well, that's what some of the coaches would tell me in the rec league. These guys don't play for the Tornadoes or for Northampton. They're playing, I'm going to Bethel, or I'm going to Hampton or Phoebus or whatever.
That was the biggest bragging rights then.
Yeah. So when you made it to Bethel High School, and how was that experience like? Because now you're really moving to not only kids, some of them your size, some of them bigger, and a lot of them faster.
Definitely. Yeah, it was a great experience. I mean, we didn't have the best record while I was there, but it was definitely a humbling experience, because that's what made you work hard to, beat some of the stronger teams like Hampton and Phoebus at that time, and even Heritage.
Right. Now, I can remember watching a ball game when you run down a running back.
Right.
And I said to myself then, he could make it to the next level, because you had speed from the you were playing defensive line at the time. Did the defense really, okay, this is what I can really excel at?
Yeah, I mean, it was more of a natural instinct, and my thought process was I always wanted to hit instead of be hit. So I enjoyed tight end and scoring touchdowns, but it was definitely started for me, more the aggressive side in defense. I think I remember that game. It was kick it 10, chasing down Alan Backus.
Yeah, I just blew my mind, because I'm seeing this big guy catch this little guy.
Right.
But the speed you had, which is remarkable, but you need that at the next level. But let's talk about some of the teammates you had when you were over at Bethel.
And Jimmy Williams came over there my 11th grade year, his senior year. And that was the best year we had there. So some of that talent, along with, like you said, Alan Back and some of those other guys we played against. And Coach Parker was our coach at the time. So, like I said, he was big on fundamentals also, as far as training us and having a discipline forward.
Now you go to Virginia Tech.
Right.
Now you're going to play for probably one of the best defensive coaches in the nation, Bud Forster.
Yeah.
They don't get much better, do they?
Not at all.
Is he very demanding?
Definitely. He lets you know that when he's recruiting you, how demanding he is. And I'm sure he looks for that, when you're in high school. He's looking to see if those guys he can mold into his system.
Right.
But the biggest benefit of that, like you said, they were known for defense. We had some key guys, Xavier DB, Vince Hall, other guys like that came out with me that, walked into the same on the campus the same day I did.
And you had Jimmy Williams up there.
Yeah, he was already he was already there. So, definitely a comfortable fit as far as, guys being from this area, and then especially being known for defense, which worked for me.
Well, and I'm going to ask you this, and I don't know if you can answer or not, but it seems like there's an awful lot of good athletes that come from this area.
Definitely.
And not only the peninsula, I'm talking about the Tidewater, but a lot from the peninsula.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that was the biggest bragging rights coming up to, me and Vince used to get into it all the time, because we scrimmaged Western Branch and had some battles with those guys. So we definitely argue about what side is, the best side, but just in the whole area total, man, not only in Virginia, but, statewide, we can make state a lot of claim to a lot of, good athletes.
Well, and I don't know why somebody says, is it in the water? and I think it's in the coaching. I think the kids have got some natural ability, but don't you believe that the coaches get the best out of you?
Definitely, man. A lot of the time, coaches are, hometown guys also. So, you get that hometown feel. It's not a lot of guys coming in from other programs or outside of the state. So, you know them through the ranks. I knew Coach Parker before I even got to high school, which is comfortable because he's developing you, slowly on the way. I knew him in middle school coming up. My dad was friends with his family in Smithfield, a long time ago before I even got here.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, it was definitely
there was a connection there.
Right. And that's the hometown feel that, everybody has. Like, if those guys don't make it or do make it, they always come back and, able to give to those kids. And, it's that relationship factor. They can relate to them.
Right. So talk about what the feeling was like when you walk out Lane Stadium and that place is packed.
Right.
Well, what's that feel like?
Man, I haven't met a stadium that can match it yet. When the game is right, those Thursday night games, and Saturday night games, you can feel it rumbling in the tunnel before you come out. I always made it an issue to come out last because I wanted to feel everybody at their highest intensity. They're playing Enter the Sandman before you come out. So as walking into the tunnel, you can see the crowd, in the stadium already jumping and shaking the stands and stuff. So it was definitely a sight to see.
So you get your hair stand up on the back
Oh, man,
of
I get goosebumps every time. That's how I knew I was ready to play. Anytime I didn't get goosebumps, it was going to be a long game for me.
All right, now, when did you become a full-time starter?
Full-time starter was midway through my sophomore year.
Right.
I was battling out through sharing a lot of time coming into my sophomore year. Had a good freshman year, but still had seniors in front of me. Right. So, had to battle it out, and due to injury, I was able to start, and they were happy with their production. So I started the last 6 games of that year. And it kept on going from there. I didn't look back.
All right, now you finish your college career and you get drafted.
Right.
All new ball game.
Dream coming true, but definitely a whole new ball game.
Well, and that's another thing. This is something you dreamed of as a kid,
right.
I'm sure.
Right, definitely. That simple sense of accomplishment. You've worked all your life. Even coming up, school is important, and I was able to graduate from Virginia Tech also, which you were proud of, but you knew this is what I wanted to do in my life. I wanted to play football. So that sense of accomplishment right there was nothing to compare. Talk
a little bit about the transition. Now you got a playbook that's, I don't know how thick, but it's a little different than high school and college.
Yeah, it definitely has more than a couple math pages in it. Definitely got to flip through it.
So what was the sessions like? Because I know you're on the field, but you spent a lot of time watching film and going over the playbook. Talk about that a little bit so people can understand what it is you're going through.
Yeah, coming into those rookie mini camps, I kind of feel bad for the rookies this year, due to the lockout, because you need those mini camps just to go through all the growing pains and the rough stuff and, how demanding the NFL is, because it's you're not on scholarship, this is your paid job. So that's the first thing you really realize is not only the speed difference, but, you're playing against grown men that are, fighting for their livelihood, which is cool at the same time, but it definitely is, it's a little different from watching it on TV.
All right. This thing has just been one of your dreams come true.
Definitely.
Talk about the Steelers. Can you talk about them?
Yeah, I was definitely thankful for Buffalo drafting me, but the Steelers organization, is night and day compared to Buffalo. And once you see how they embrace you when you get there, I got there about mid-season, and I was able to, they were a well-oiled machine by then, heading into the playoff stretch, and I got that chance to see how much work they put in and why they're as good as they are. So It was definitely a humbling experience, but at the same time, you look forward to, being able to make the team and being under Coach Dick LeBeau, another defensive, guru.
Wow.
You learn so much. You just try to take in as much as you can.
Well, talk a little bit about what you would say to youngsters about that's coming up, like the ones that's in the camp, you had in the camp today. What would you tell them the things that they need to make sure that they align themselves with the right people, and just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we speak with them after the camp, and sit them down and talk to them a little bit. And one of the things I reiterate is, it's really the company you keep. Whether it's guys doing positive things, whether they're playing football or not playing football, it's the positive energy that they're going to feed and let you know whether you're doing, because everybody at that age knows right from wrong. It just comes down to making those decisions, as you further your career. And so you find out really, is this really what I want to do, or, what I'm saying, do I want to continue to be a knucklehead in school and not pay attention? So I struggled with that also going into my senior year, but as it got closer, they got so many requirements with passing the test now and everything. You got to pass the clearinghouse to get in, which is a big thing for those kids because they don't realize it until the test is in their face that you need this to even go to the next level.
Right. Well, I appreciate you taking time to come in and
talk
to us.
I appreciate you having me.
Good enough. Stay tuned for our next guest. Welcome back. I have with me Elton Brown, who is a former Arizona Cardinal, great ball player. Went through Hampton High School, went through UVA, and now you're back down here giving back to the community. Welcome.
How you doing? Glad to be here.
I'm always glad to have you back here. We'll talk a little bit about playing pro football, because this is what these kids see you as, a former player. Talk a little bit about that experience.
It's what every child dreams of. When you first pick up that football, your ultimate goal is to make it to the NFL and to be a part of just even a preseason game. It means a lot. And I guess all the hard work as a youth that you put in, it comes, I guess, to the forefront at that moment.
All right, so you went through the rec league, you went through Hampton High School, you went to Heritage and then Hampton High.
Yes, sir.
And then you went to UVA. And you were talking levels of difference. And what did you take from one level to the next? How did you make it to the next level? Did you just have the confidence to do that, or what?
Well, of course, it comes with the coaching staff and, you know, getting comfortable in your surroundings. But, I mean, from high school to college is like the speed of the game picks up, and then from college to the NFL is just like standing on the side of an interstate and watching the cars go by. I mean, it's just, but you gain confidence as you go. Like I said, every kid, you know, you come in as a freshman and you just want to, I guess, earn a spot and know your role. And once you get comfortable, then it makes the transition a lot easier.
Right. When did you know in your mind that, yeah, I can play at this different level. I can play at the high school level. I can play at the college level. I can play at the pro level. When did you get that feeling?
It was, I mean, in high school, I think my first varsity started in 10th grade. It was against the Hampton High School team that was on a 40-game win streak, and I had to block an All-American Jared Green, and I did pretty good against him. So I knew from that moment, okay, I could play college ball. And then when I got to college, maybe my sophomore, junior year, started getting comfortable, and I knew, well, okay, I could play on the next level. And once you get to that level, everybody's the best. So then it's just like your A game has to be on every practice, every meeting, everything.
Now, we talked before about playing for the Cardinals and playing with your quarterback, Kurt Warner. I mean, to me, ultimate pro in the huddle, wasn't he?
He definitely is. He demands respect. He commands. He's in great command of the huddle. And, I mean, he knows everything. It's like, I mean, I seen him call plays in the huddle and tell everybody what to do in the huddle. So, I mean, to be able to do that in 15 seconds, I mean, speaks volumes of this guy. And, I mean, the guy's been to 3 Super Bowls and has 3 of the top, I believe, 4 passing yard games in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, it speaks he's a great guy.
Well, now you were protecting him. You being an offensive tackle, you had to protect him. Did you have like a clock in your mind that you knew that he was going to get rid of the ball on certain plays at different times?
I think with Kurt, the key was don't have a clock, because that's one of those guys that can make anything happen. Okay. And we know if we get a guy time, he'll pick any defense apart. Because, I mean, he's one of those guys that you're not going to throw too many things at him he hasn't seen. I mean, he was 38 years old. So, I mean, he's been around, seen everything. So, you know, we just had no clock. It was just blocked until he makes something happen.
All right, then your career ended. You come back home and you start a program. No kid goes to bed hungry.
Yes,
Talk
sir.
a little bit about that.
Well, it's just a program my mother and myself started to make sure that no child, as we say, goes to bed hungry. And right now in the summertime, we're doing, I have at my office and my site, I'm doing breakfast and lunch. And my mom is doing breakfast and dinner at her site. So we're just trying to ensure and make sure that no child goes to bed hungry.
Well, to me, that's giving back to the community. You can't do any better than that. Now, let's talk a little bit about, because you got a camp coming up next week. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yes, at the old Mallory Elementary School off Big Bethel Road. We're having Elton Brown's Big Man Camp. And this year we're only doing the 9th through 12th grade guys. And we're trying to come back next year and do the little guys on a Friday and the bigger guys on a Saturday. But I just know coming out of this area, the coaches and the many guys I had that taught me the great techniques, and I just want to give back and ensure those guys just give them something to look forward to and look up to.
All right, now we got another thing that's come up. You got your own Pop Warner team.
Yeah, I'll be a head coach this year. So this is my first stint. So I've partnered with the Hampton Hawkeyes, and I will have the junior midget division, 11, 12, and 13-year-old. So if any of you guys got some great 11 to 12, 13-year-olds, I need them. I'm trying to stack my team and go and win it all. So.
And now, when you coach, you pick up from the coaches that you had?
Yeah, you just take a little bit from each one, and then you form your own identity. And, the first thing is to command respect of your team, and then you just go from there. And like I said, after that, it's just football.
All right. Now, we're going to wrap this thing up, but I want you to tell me again what you would tell a youngster about coming through, making sure he does his studies and all that stuff. What would you tell those youngsters?
Well, of course, school is first and foremost. Without the grades, you can't do anything. Like I tell kids all the time, you might be the greatest high school athlete ever, and your grades might be bad, and you might have to go to junior college for 2 years. But why waste 2 years in the junior college when you could be in a big-time program establishing yourself already? It's hard enough to come in the program and pick up the things and learn. And so why I guess, delay yourself and delay your progress rather than just knock the grades out while you can and going to a school.
All right, now I want to talk a little bit more about your mother, because your mother and you are running this No Child Goes to Bed Hungry thing.
Yes.
Tell me what she means to you and your organization.
See, everything. From a little child, she instilled this in me, and like I said, just to all the journeys we've been through together, and like I said, she does tremendous work with my foundation, and like I said, this is my way to give back and really thank her too. With my acts and the things I do.
All right. Can you explain to me why there's so many great athletes that come from the peninsula?
I think it's something in our water. I think it's something in the water. It's something in the water down here. It must be. I think we need to come up with a 757 water. So I think I'm gonna put claims on it and try to get some money from it. So I don't know. I think. Honestly, it's a mindset we have, and the guys after the older guys, you don't want to disappoint and you don't want to let down. So it's a standard that we feel coming from this area you have to live up to, and the guys do a tremendous job. As you see, we continue to produce athletes, continue to produce great athletes. So it's just a standard that we live up to, and some people don't like accepting challenges or great challenges. I think the athletes from 757, we welcome them. So I think it's a great thing.
I appreciate you stopping by and saying that.
Glad to be here again.
Okay, good enough. Well, stay tuned for our next step. Welcome back. I've got with me Marcus Hagens, former Hampton High grade, played ball at UVA, and now is going back to coach at UVA. I think this is wonderful. I know you got to be happy and thrilled about it.
It's a great experience. Coach London provided me with a great opportunity, and I'm just glad to be back.
All right, well, let's go back and talk about going through the rec system. What team did you play for?
I played for the Aberdeen Raiders, and my head coach was actually Coach Alvis's brother, Stan, man.
Oh, Stan, yeah, I know Stan, yeah.
So I started off with him at the Aberdeen Raiders. I was actually too young to play, so they kind of snuck me in anyway. So I fell in love with it early. But then one day I found out how hard people can really hit. I finally got thrown in there, and I quit.
Oh, wow.
I went and hid in the closet, and my mom found me hiding in the closet. So after that, she was like, that ain't the son that I'm raising. You tougher than that, and we gonna be tougher than that. So she sent me back out there, and Coach, man, I mean, he embraced me with open arms. He said it happens, starting off at a young age. Right. We just got to get you back out there, get the training wheels off and get you going. And ever since then, you know, it was just full steam. I led the team to 3 rec league championships in a row. I had great teammates, but, you know, Coach Mann, he passed away a couple years ago, but he was probably one of my favorite coaches, and he was the one who instilled a lot of things in me that I carried throughout my career.
Well, he evidently not only showed you how to play ball, but also give you some lessons in life itself.
He definitely did. He taught me how to be tough, and he told me to go out there and always give it your all. And, you know, we used to always have this saying when we were little kids that Coach Mann always made us say, never take no prisoners because you can't afford to feed them. So that was always our mentality. We always wanted to be tough, go out and force our will on people, and don't stop playing until the clock ran out. And I think that enabled to put like a fight and that type of dog in me at a young age, and it just carried throughout my career.
All right, now, was you always a quarterback, or was you running back? Or
when I first started playing, I was always a quarterback. I had this remarkable ability to be able to throw. But the crazy thing before all this is when I was first born, I couldn't use the right side of my body. And the doctor said I would always walk with a limp and, you know, never use the right side of my body. I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. So the remarkable turnaround that I had through the faith in my family and, you know, God blessing miracles, you know, it was a miracle that I was able to play within itself. So I just always was gifted with a miraculous arm.
Well, but you also got so much quickness about you. And as being a quarterback, almost a sixth sense, that you can feel the pressure, can't you?
I think so. You know, a lot of times sometimes when you're just walking down the street and you might feel like somebody's following you or walking behind you, you just turn over your head and you kind of look back to kind of concur what you're feeling. That's the same thing in the pocket. You know they're coming to get you anyway, so after about 3 seconds, you start counting in your head like, man, I got to get out of here. So, and luckily, God blessed me with some quickness that I can get out of some situations.
All right, now you went to Hampton High, and you're following a great quarterback.
One of the best.
Yeah, so, you know, but you go in there and you do the job.
Well, I think, you know, having him there first, watching how he carried himself, how he handled himself, with all the pressures that he was dealing with. I mean, we weren't just talking about somebody who was one of the best players in the state. We talk about one of the best players in the country. At the time, national press, you know, ESPN, we even had the high school All-American basketball game down in Hampton High that year. So just to watch how he handled himself on a day-to-day basis and got rid of all the pressures of everybody caving in and was just able to perform week in and week out was something that I just tried to carry on when I got the opportunity to play.
Okay, so when you did get the opportunity to play, now it rests on your shoulders. You didn't back down. I mean, you're not the biggest guy out there, but you got one of the biggest hearts of any guy I've seen play ball.
And I think that's something that was instilled in me. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of fighting the dog. So it doesn't matter how big you are. When you come up to step up to play, you just give it your all and never back down from anybody. And I think that's something that was instilled in me at an early age, and it just continued throughout my career. I think Ron helped me out a lot making the transition, coming into a program that was a national powerhouse.
Right.
So people had got spoiled by everything that he was accomplishing. Like, everybody was expecting Hampton to win every single game. And the first game we played after he left, we lost to Heritage in 5 overtimes. But I didn't start that game at quarterback. Fonzo Gunner started.
That's right.
And everybody was just saying the program is over. They'll never be the same without Ron. And I was just telling Coach, man, you know, I love Fonzo, but I said, if you just give me one chance, you won't make a mistake. I promise I won't let you down. And he gave me an opportunity to start the next week, and we went through, and we had an opportunity to win the state championship that year.
Let me say something to you that I think is great. And Mike Smith mentioned this. You always had a smile on your face. You know, in practice, it didn't make any difference. You were having fun.
I think it's a game. You know, at the end of the day, it's a football game. So it was always fun to me. I never took it like, you know, it was life or death. I hated losing more than anything, but the opportunity to work out every day with the fellas, you know, guys like Armando Curry, Jarrett Green, Alfonso Gunner, Hakeem Zarif, you know, Jeremy Southern, those guys like really ignited fires in me every day just to know that I was having a good time out there being around good people. And, you know, a lot of those guys were so much older than me. So I had to look up to them for leadership. Even though I was the quarterback of the team, I looked to a lot of those guys for leadership because they had been there. They had been invested in the program. And here I was, the young guy just coming in, you know, with a lot of pressure on my shoulders. But they took the pressure off me, and they made it easy for me to come in and make the transition. And then by my senior year, I was able to step in on my own.
Well, this is one thing that just blows me away. When you're a senior, you're the same age Ronald Curry was as a sophomore. So theoretically, you could have played 2 more years.
Definitely, and I think that's one thing people don't realize sometimes is I was always, whatever grade I was in, people were still like 2 years older than me. Like, I just always played up. And I think at an early age, I skipped a grade because I was a little far advanced. And so it always allowed me to play up, but I was always the youngest by always 2 years. So when I graduated, I think I had just turned 16.
Yeah.
So once I got the opportunity to be the quarterback at Hampton High as a senior, I was only 15 years old. So most people come into high school at 14 or 15.
That's
so
right.
I think that helped speed up my learning curve and also my maturation process as well.
Okay, now you graduated, you went to Fork Union, and what was that like?
Oh, man, it was tough. You know, coming from a school where, you know, everybody knows who you are. You know, everybody supports the games on weekends. There's girls there. To go into an all-boys school, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, saluting the flag, and then looking up in the stands and nobody's there to come support your game. So it was a good transition. It was tough, but it was something that I needed. And like I said, I was only 16, so it gave me that year to kind of really get a senior year. Like when I left, I was turning 17. So when I went to college, I had just turned 17. So it gave me the opportunity to get another year underneath my belt and really prepare and get a foundation to get ready to go to college.
Right, so you one more year of maturity. Then you go to UVA. What was that like?
It was great. Amando was already there.
Right.
Ray Mann was already there. So I had guys that I played with in college that were already on the team. So that helped the transition be a lot more smoother than what it normally may have been if I had went to another school.
Right.
I knew a lot of people that I had played against in high school. They were there as well. So, you know, just having the opportunity to stay at home because I initially committed to Indiana coming out of high school and I signed my letter of intent. But they tried to Prop 48 me. That's why I went to prep school. So being able to stay in my own hometown and have my family be able to come see me play week in and week out and our games be locally televised, that was real important to me when I got the opportunity to go back to UVA.
Right. All right, now you're at UVA, and then you get drafted. You go to the pros. Now you're talking another step. Everybody's fast, and everybody's big.
And everybody's getting paid. It's a livelihood now. It's a way of life. And, you know, coming out of college, I was a quarterback. But I got drafted as a punt returner as a wide receiver. So my last 4 years of college have been basically every day at quarterback. So now here I am trying to make a transition at wide receiver within the span of 3 or 4 months against guys who've been playing defensive back all their life. And, you know, one thing I will say about this, and when we went out to Arizona, me and Jimmy Williams had the same agent. And we flew out to Arizona to work out. And he helped my progression as a receiver so much because he was one of the best DBs coming out in the draft that year, if not the best. I felt he was. And every day he went against me, he just made me better. My first couple weeks were kind of rough, you know, just getting used to playing receiver. He would jam me up, beat me up at the line, and it would just get me so frustrated. But it was something that I needed because it helped me to get better. And he's one of the best competitors, just like I am. And it's funny now that he's bigger than me, but he was always younger than me, so I always treated him like my little brother. So he was getting the best of me at his position, and it used to frustrate me every day. But about after the 4th week or so, staying out of API, I got it together, and then I was able to win and start running routes. But the transition was definitely tough, but, you know, I got to tip my hat. I thank him a lot for that, you know, being there every day with me, working 3 or 4 times a day when he didn't have to, just trying to get me better. So, you know, it was a great transition. And also, once I got to St. Louis, my first year, I had 2 future Hall of Famers. I had Isaac Bruce, I had Torrey Holt, and then my receivers coach was Henry Yeller, who played in the NFL for almost 15 years. Right. So I was just in the presence of greatness who was able to make the transition, and I learned a lot my first couple of months real fast.
Let's talk a little bit about now going to coach up to UVA, your alma mater, with a local guy, Mike London. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I always thank Coach London for the opportunity to bring me back. You know, he didn't have to, but he sought me out and was like, we need you a part of this program. You know, we need to start you off as a graduate assistant so you get your feet wet, and then we'll try to progress you as a coach. But he's like, I got to have you on this staff. And I was like, Coach, if you really want me, I'm there for you. And, you know, he just created an environment where you don't work for Coach London, you work with him. And that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And everybody on the staff feels the same way. And then we have a lot of guys not only on the staff that went to UVA, but played at UVA. So you got legends like Sean Moore, Anthony Poindexter, and then a couple of guys that I played with, Gordy Samus and Brennan Schmidt, who was a captain with me my senior year. So he has people there that played in the program who are back helping coaching the program. And then we just got a great group of guys that he's put together, local guys like Chip West, and then, you know, rounded out with a lot of guys that are going to be very successful this year and key to us winning a lot of games this year.
I'm so glad you stopped by.
Anytime, man. Anything for you. I'll be more than happy to stop by anytime.
I appreciate it. We want to thank you for tuning in to LFC and Sports Time. I want to thank all my special guests today. I'm Bob Hintz, your host. Till next time.